Good morning, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Larry. Today we're going to talk about picking a contractor in retirement. Now I'm speaking from experience because I was a contractor, and this is how I started. This is going to be real brief. Graduated from college in 1976. Yeah, I'm old. And I'd worked for a painting contractor when I was in college. That was my summer job. He was a big booster. But I had a double major in finance and marketing. Came out, worked for Generous Motors for 10 years, General Motors. And then they closed the plant down. I ended up getting a couple other real jobs, and those didn't work out either. So I came home one day and we were broke, and had three little kids at home. The wife wasn't working and couldn't work actually at the time. And so I told her I was going to paint some apartments or something until I got a real job. Painters don't like apartments because you generally don't make any money at it. But I did. I started painting apartments. Now, they didn't have emails or cell phones back then. So what I did, I sent out 50 letters, and I got two nibbles. I got one job, one apartment complex out of it, and I worked there for about 6 months. But the big thing was, I showed up 3 days in a row at 8 o'clock, on time, sober, ready to work, and they were shocked. I mean, they were absolutely shocked, and it kind of went on a little bit at that time. All you gotta do is show up and do your work, and when you're done with your work, you get to go home because you're getting paid by the job. And that turned into a 35-year career, and I was very blessed because of it. I figured out ways to make money on this apartment game, but that's another story. But somebody asked me just a couple of weeks ago what I considered my greatest business accomplishment, being self-employed, and I didn't even have to think about it. I just bought this new iPhone because I needed a new phone anyway. The other one was 10 years old. And I was starting to make videos, so I thought, well, I'll buy me a new one. So I bought a new one, and I laid that out. I pulled it out of my pocket. I had it on silent when I was with somebody. That's what I do. And I laid it on the table, and I said, "This is my greatest accomplishment. I've had the same cell phone number for the last 30 plus years." Hardly anybody can say that, let alone a contractor who's dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. And they were impressed. I was impressed. I'm still impressed with it. I got to pick my number. I picked a number that I could remember. I got to pick my number off a list of about 30 numbers. So it's worked out real well. I still have the same cell phone number. But I'm going to show you now. I'm going to show you exactly how to pick a contractor. Um, First, and the best way is referral. If you know somebody's had some of this type of work done, just ask them. They'll give you somebody. If not, put a shout out on Facebook. If you put a shout out on Facebook for electrician or plumber or painter, if you're on Facebook, I guarantee you'll get a dozen referrals probably. And I know I got a lot of jobs that way when people are doing that. Um, for example, I had a slow leak in my pantry ceiling. I knew what it was. It was just really hard to get to, and I don't plumb. I don't do any plumbing. Period. So I have a contractor friend of mine. He rehabs and flips houses. So I called him. I said, "Hey, buddy, know any good know any good plumbers?" And he said, "Yeah, I call so and so." So I called him, used John's name, and it worked out real well. Now, when you get a referral, expect to pay a little bit more. The guy he was real cool right up front. He said, "Oh, I charge this much an hour plus materials." Cool, come on over and do it. So he did, and it worked out really well. I also had him change two outside spigots while he was here because the house was like 30 years old at the time, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to worry about them again in my lifetime. Another way to get a contractor is Craigslist. I know I've heard all the horror stories on Craigslist. I advertised on Craigslist for years for residential work. We did mostly commercial, but when things got slow, I put an ad on Craigslist. And it's always a crapshoot there. Always a crapshoot there. Do your own research. Get as many ask as many questions over the phone as you can. How long you've been in business? What are the areas you generally work? And just think of any questions because that'll eliminate a lot of people right away. Um, Anything you do as far as getting a contractor, once you have one, anything you do, get it in writing. Nobody uses paper contracts anymore, as far as I can tell. It's all done online. It's all done through emails. Emails are a legal contract here in the state of Ohio. Text messages are not. Text messages are not, but emails are because they have your IP address on there. Of course, it goes without saying on larger jobs, like if you're having a deck build or you're getting a hole inside of your house painted or outside or whatever, Get several estimates. They will vary depending on if you catch somebody that's super busy, their price is going to be high. Because when I was busy, my prices were high, and I didn't get a lot of jobs because of it. But when things are slow, if they happen to call me when things are slow, guess what? They got a deal. The prices will vary a lot. On smaller jobs, have them send them a picture. That's what I did. I had a hot water heater go out about 2 years ago, and it wasn't totally out, but it was leaking pretty bad. And the other plumber I'd used previously, he was busy. And so I went on Craigslist. I just happened to find a plumber who had an ad on Craigslist. If they have an ad on Craigslist and they're a plumber or electrician, they're not busy. They need some work. So I called him, but before I called him, no, what I did was I texted him pictures. I took a picture of it. Mine's kind of a fancy pants hot water here. It's got one of these vents on top, that power vents and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I sent him a picture. I said, all the materials will be here. The hot water will be sitting right next to it. I'll get rid of the hot water here. Give me a ballpark figure what it's going to cost for labor and materials. He quoted me a price right away. He came, fixed it. I got a buddy of mine to haul he does scrap work. We hauled it out of the basement. He took and got scrap for it, and he was happy. I was happy. Got a really good price on it. The Craigslist is kind of a crapshoot sometimes. Just do your own research. You hear about asking for references. People, references don't work. If you have to get references from a guy, I never gave references. But if you had to give references, who are they going to give you? They're not going to give you a bad reference. They're going to give you their mother. They're going to give you their uncle. They're going to give you their brother, their sister. The references are worthless. I had people ask me for references all the time. I finally said, somebody was really harassing me about it one time, and I said, look, I said, 2 weeks from now, let's say I do this job for you, and 2 weeks from now, somebody asks for references. Say I give your number to somebody. You want some stranger calling you and asking about me? Well, no, I really didn't think about it that way. References aren't good. I said, here's the way I work. I do the job. If you're happy with it, you pay me. If you don't do it, don't pay me. If I don't do the job you want, don't pay me. And I'm taking all the risk. I was always taking all the risk. And they kind of accept that. It's not a big deal. But references really don't work. Make sure anybody who walks in your house is insured. They should have a general liability policy at the very least. Every state law is different. Here in the state of Ohio, you don't have to have workman's comp if you're self-employed contractor, but you should have liability insurance. But check your own state to see what's required there. And we've all heard the stories on this one. I've never been guilty, but I know a lot of people who have. Don't ever pay anybody up front for something. I had some roofers do a job for me on one of my rental properties one time. And they wanted 20% up front for materials. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I said, how do I know I won't give you 20% and you'll just disappear? I said, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you halfway. You show up with the materials on my property, show me the invoice, and I'll pay you for those materials. Like, okay, that's cool. Listen, if they can't afford to get started on a job for a couple $100 of materials, they're probably not going to be the best contractor in the world. Just saying. Think about it. Just saying. Also, appearance of a contractor is very important. Look at their vehicle, personal vehicle. It doesn't have to be a new vehicle. Is it clean? Is it taken care of? Does it look like, my vehicles always look good on the outside. Now, the inside was trashed. My inside of my vehicle is still trashed. But the outside still looks really good. Personal, if they're scruffy looking, and I know the cultural values have changed some, and I don't base somebody based on that, but it's like 30 years ago. If you had tattoos, nobody'd hire you. Now they're very much accepted. So just use your own judgment there. I did when I was first getting started, I did 4 exterior jobs on one street, one right after the other, because they only saw me work. On one of those jobs, some guy came up. He was replacing some gutters, and I was asking about his business. If he was busy, he said, "I just can't figure out why nobody's hiring me." He said, "I'm giving them decent prices," and he looked like some Skid Row bum. I mean, I don't care if you have a beard. I don't care if you have long hair, but just looks like you're kept a little bit. They show up and their appearance is horrible and terribly unkept, unless they're a roofer and just got off the roof or something like that. That's another story. But my prices were always higher than everybody else's, just because I knew what the other contractors were doing. They were coming in looking like bums. And uh, but the bottom line is, if you just don't feel comfortable with somebody, especially if they're inside your home, if you don't feel comfortable, walk away. You don't use them. Now, this is the one you've all been waiting for. How do you get better prices? Let me tell you some insider secrets here. Wait, if it can wait, wait for the slow season. Like if you need the whole inside of your house painted, wait till January. Painters are starving to death in January. I did a big house right around the corner from my house. Actually, it was a few blocks over in a little nicer area. He needed the whole inside painted, just the walls, no trim, no doors, no ceilings, just the walls. But it was a big house, big stairwells, and I had about 3 guys working for me at the time. So I said, "Here's the price." It was low because I knew what he got other jobs for. I knew that they were going to be lower. My price was a little higher. I said, "Now, if you can wait about 3 weeks, I'll knock 1,000 off that," because I was a little busy at the time or something. And he did. He did. Tree guys, same way. If you can wait, if you got some trees, need a little work, tree guys in the wintertime, unless there's a big storm, they starve to death. Be flexible. If it's not a have-to job, like a hot water heater going out, be flexible. I did this drywall job one time. The guy sent me pictures, and I said, "Well, it's going to be about $300, but if you can wait, if I can use that for fill-in work, I'll do it for $250." He said, "Yeah, I'm not no big hurry. I'm retired. I'm just sitting here. I'll just put plastic over or something for a few days." So a week later, I did the job. He was happy. I was happy. He saved a few bucks. Now, here's the big one. Once the price is given, not before the price is given, but once the price is given, ask for a cash discount. Now, not on huge jobs like over $1,000, but ask, well, you can if you want to, but ask for, do you give cash discounts? And most contractors give you at least 5, usually 10% cash discounts. I usually gave a 10% cash discount, and you can only guess why. But and that goes a long way. That goes a long way to get a better price. But if you can be flexible, if it's not a have-to job, you can be flexible. They can use it for filling work, so that they're not, when they're slow, they can jump in there and do it. Contractors really appreciate that. That's all I've got for now. These are just some of the highlights. If you got anything out of this, like, share, subscribe. Until we meet again, I want to continue to press on towards that goal.